Welcome to Book Lounge by Libby. My name is Joe, and I am so happy you're here. Of course, we are still a few weeks, months, whatever time is away from season 3 starting in April, but we want to bring you episodes. We want to make content. And I know this episode is one of the favorites of all y'all out there. This is where we share our picks for the upcoming month's book releases. Joining me today is the incredible Meara. You know her, you love her, I know I do. And we are going to go through our February 2026 book picks. Hi.
Hi, howdy. Good morning.
Good morning. What's good?
Oh my God. I'm so excited to record this episode because last week we recorded 2026 releases in general looking forward to. I had to remove 3 books from that list that I prepared because I was like, oh no, I'm doing the February list. Like, I gotta kind of hold on to those.
It's so true. And yeah, great plug. I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I guess, at the time that you're hearing this, we did, Meara and I, along with Jenny, went through the 2026 book release radar, everything releasing in 2026 that we are most excited for within the constraints of time for podcast production. But you know, so go check that out if you haven't already. But also none of the books that we mentioned in that episode that come out in February will be here. These are different books. And exactly to your point, Meara, I was at like 15 or 20 books and I just cut all of the February ones and they're in this episode.
And what's crazy is obviously February is a shorter month and I was still like having to pare down what I wanted to pick for this episode.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
I am surprised with how many books come out in February.
Yeah.
To your point of it being a short month. I know it's only like 4 days shorter, but still.
But it feels so much smaller.
It feels so short. Like, what even is February? Does it count? Is it a month? And
it also has Mardi Gras in it. So to me, February is just a blur. It barely exists. I'm going to like go into a black hole of separation from the world, and then I'm going to come out and all these books are going to be out. And I'm going to be like, give them to me.
That's fantastic. So this is basically just your March TBR because there's no reading happening in February for you.
Basically, I'm going to Disney World and then it's Mardi Gras. And so like February is locked and loaded with, I'll probably read a book.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll be one of these. Dude, actually, there's some of these that I have beef with. Like I like requested them on NetGalley and didn't get approved. So some of these I will be reading as soon as they come out. Because I've been waiting.
I know that. I know. The beef is real. But also, like, do you go home for Mardi Gras? Are you okay? Oh, so it's not just like personal observance.
No, I'm like at the route. Sometimes with my Kindle. Because there could be like a long break between parades.
You could be chilling, yeah.
So I do tend to bring my Kindle in my backpack or my fanny pack or like whatever book I'm reading. So that way, in case like I don't feel like yapping, I can just like sit aside at a parade and read a book or between parades. But odds of me being able to concentrate on what's happening, low.
That's the time where you need like a Frida McFadden to just kind of like
exactly. I just need to like exactly something easy, something light, but like interesting.
Yes. So this is my TikTok brain rot jumping out. Have you ever been to Yvonne Lafleur?
Yvonne Lafleur?
She is this gorgeous older woman who owns a clothing store in New Orleans. It's incredible. I don't know why, how, when her videos started popping up in my feed, but I love it. Like, she does debutante dresses. She does all of like the gowns for everything. And then she's just got her like normal day wear.
This is stunning. I am not part of society.
Yeah. But still, you could still go.
Stunning.
Sending Meara to Yvonne Lafleur to report back.
She's got those like, I just murdered my husband house coats.
She sure does. She surely does. Okay. Well, you know, you never know. It's one of those of like,
Yvonne, if you're listening,
Yvonne,
I will give you personal book recs if you will give me I just murdered my husband house coat.
Yvonne, please. I don't know. She's just like this fabulous woman who has been in fashion and like used to fly to France to pick out fabrics and Italy to have shoes designed.
Where did we get the book about her?
Right? Oh, I think it's the TikTok. I think the TikTok is the
Is
memoir.
that's true.
Well, okay. If you end up going, you let me know.
I will let you know. We will follow up.
But I guess let's give the people what they want. Let's talk about the books coming out in February. Since this is your first monthly book picks up, I'll go first just so you get a sense for it. Cool?
Sounds great. Yes.
Awesome. My first pick is Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. It will be out on February 10th from our friends over at Penguin. You've likely heard of Matt Dinniman because of his hit series Dungeon Crawler Carl. Is super popular. It pops up in all of the nerdy spaces that I love online. And this is a bit of a fast-paced, epic, remote annihilation, evil gamers from Earth. Let's just dive into it.
Okay.
All colonist Oliver Lewis ever wanted to do was run the family ranch with his sister, maybe play a gig or two with his band, and keep his family's aging fleet of intelligent agriculture bots ticking as long as possible. He figures it'll be a good thing when the transfer gate finally opens all the way and restores instant travel and full communication between Earth and his planet, New Sonora. But there's a complication. Even though the settlers were promised they'd be left in peace, Earth's government now has other plans. The colossal Apex Industries is hired to commence an eviction action, but maximizing profits will always be Apex's number one priority. Why spend money printing and deploying AI soldiers when they can turn it into a game? Why not charge bored Earthers for the opportunity to design their own war machines and remotely pilot them from the comfort of their homes? The game is called Operation Bounce House. Oliver and his friends soon find themselves fighting for their lives against machines piloted by gamers who've paid a premium for the privilege. With the help of an old book from his grandfather and a bucket of rusty parts, Oliver is determined to defend the only home he's ever known.
This makes me think of the
Ready Player One.
I was going to say my favorite episode of Black Mirror, White Bear.
Okay.
Like the one where people are filming people that are think they're being hunted down, but it's like a prison system, basically.
Yes. Oh, that's so true.
That sounds crazy and like
right?
So real. I want to read that. I would have never, by the name, by like honestly, by the author, like none of anything that you set it up with would have I ever picked it up at a bookstore. But that description.
Yeah. Oh, same. I mean, again, that's Operation Bounce House, Matt Dinniman, February 10th. But agreed completely because, I am, I think at this point, the people know I want to love sci-fi. I don't do a ton of sci-fi. I don't do a ton of like sci-fi, fantasy, romantasy. Like I have ones that I have greatly enjoyed. I have ones that I'll try, but it's not my genre. Again, no hate because
which is so it's so funny that you say that because I feel like every episode you're like in this space opera.
I know because there are ones that I love, but the thing that got me with this one is Ready Player One is for some reason one of my all-time favorite books. Can't explain it. One of my all-time favorites is Ready Player One. It is on the reread list that I talk about because for whatever reason it hit for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's like the perfect pinnacle of writing or whatever, or that it's a great example of this or that. For whatever reason, I just love it. And there is something here that I love the juxtaposition of like Ready Player One. There are gamers trying to destroy you, but the impacts are more in the real world. You know, like in Ready Player One, everything is kind of happening online, even as he's like planning his escape at the end and doing all of the things that I can't really say because they go by the way of spoilers. There's so little real world and mostly online versus this where it is just the like, you actually don't have the sense of the gamers. It's just the
real world consequences. Wow.
Exactly. So I'm with you as well that like, I know Dungeon Crawler Carl is hot and poppin'. I haven't read it yet. I would like to because I want to see what everyone's in love with. And I'm sure it has like the camp elements I know I'll eat up. But I'm with you. Like it's not my genre. It's not my
right.
But this is it. This is the one. It does everything I need it to.
Yeah, it's giving spec fic in the way that I love.
Yes. maybe that's it. My like sci-fi is once it gets specky.
Yeah.
But also camp.
All right. I'm going to get my first book.
Please.
Totally different direction. But in a direction that I think everyone who has ever heard me be on this podcast before is like, of course. My first book is Greedy by Callie Kazumi, and it comes out February 3rd. And here's the description. What would you do for a seat at the table? In this deliciously dark thriller set in remote Japan, a desperate gambling addict masquerades as the private chef to a reclusive billionaire with deadly taste, from the twisted mind behind Claire Darling. They will kill me soon, Edward Cook thinks. When the Yakuza are unable to collect what he owes, Ed realizes that they'll go after his wife and child next. Broke, desperate, and unemployed, he stumbles upon an unusual chef wanted, private chef needed for a high-profile businesswoman, 1 million yen per day. Ed accepts the job. He hasn't earned any Michelin stars, but he knows his way around a kitchen. Leaving his life in Tokyo behind, he departs for an opulent estate in the mountains owned by Hazeline Yamamoto, his enigmatic and reclusive benefactor, a disgraced socialite with a predator's smile and an exacting palate. Hazeline's world is one of taste, connoisseurship, and experimentation. She is a certified gourmand. But when you can afford filet mignon for every meal, you begin to seek out the strange and forbidden. The closer Ed gets to Hazeline and a brighter future that she promises, if only he remains loyal, the closer he is to realizing the chilling truth about her altruism. In this shadow world of unimaginable wealth, there are worse monsters than two-bit gangsters. The wind blowing through Hazeline's home carries the sound of screaming, and Ed finds himself feeding all kinds of beasts. Perfect for fans of Parasite and The Menu, enticing as a starter, meaty as a main dish, and full of satisfying just desserts, Greedy is a suspenseful, poison pen note to classism and an ode to Japanese cuisine, a horror-tinged thriller unsuitable for vegetarians, but full of shocking delights for every reader.
Oh, okay. I can't wait.
As soon as I read that description, I was like, yes.
Sold. Yes. Put it on the list.
The Menu is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, this is hinting at cannibalism. I don't know if it is cannibalism, but it appears to be Japanese horror, as we have discussed many a time, is like one of the greatest like subgenres of horror, or like specific areas to pull horror from. I can't wait.
I'm like mad I didn't find that. That's how good it sounds to me. Like everything about that is incredible. The Menu was fantastic. It is one of the like 5 movies I've actually seen.
Wow.
I know. What an honor. But like everything about that. And like imagine $100,000 a day to be someone's chef. Like,
yeah.
I'd also fake my way through it too. I go, oh yeah, I can cook.
But then maybe they're like, cook people. And you're like, well.
We might have to up that price a little bit.
Yep. All right. That's Greedy. February 3rd.
I love it. My next pick also is coming out on February 3rd from Chloe Michelle Howarth. This is Heap Earth Upon It. It is, let's just dive into it. My brain.
Wait, I'm so excited. I don't know if you remember this. Sunburn was one of my top recommendations last year.
Yes. Okay. So I sniped you on this one.
I didn't know she had another book coming out. I'm in tears already. I'm so excited.
Well, right. So as you said, of the best-selling novel Sunburn, it's offering a new take on sapphic obsession for fans of All Our Wives Under the Sea, Mrs. S, Biography of X, and Organ Meats. I think those are some incredible comps. In this follow-up to the award-winning Sunburn, a claustrophobic tale of obsession, family, and identity. In January 1965, the growing town of Ballycrea has 4 new residents. The O'Leary siblings arrive in their new village under suspicious circumstances. Desperate to make a new start and leave their troubled life behind, the O'Learys offer few, contradicting details about their past. As they slowly settle into town, the siblings are taken under the wing of Betty and Bill Nevin, a wealthy couple in their 40s who have always wanted children. However, as one O'Leary sister grows close to Betty, lines are crossed and their intense relationship becomes difficult to define. All the while, the O'Learys' buried secrets keep bubbling up, threatening to ruin their new future. Gothic, lush, and suspenseful, Chloe Michelle Howarth spins a tangled web that leaves you wondering who to trust until the very last page.
I'll read anything she writes. Sunburn was so good. Like, I cannot believe that she is my age and did not like live through the troubles that she has just this like magnetic way of writing, and I will read anything she writes.
Voice is incredible. Sapphic thriller. Done. Sign me up. This is the kind of thing that always gets me into something that's listed as like lit fic, because it'll have all of these other keywords I love. It will have either a queer spin or like a very compelling family element, and this is my way into it. So that is Heap Earth Upon It, and it will be out February 3rd.
Also coming out February 3rd, we have Books and Bewitchment by Isla Jewell. This is the first in one of those kind of like rom-com like universe settings. So it's going to be the Arcadia Falls collection, but this is book 1. And also in the realm of books that I love, this is a witchy romance. So in this cozy witchy rom-com, a young woman works to turn a rundown small-town video store into the bookshop of her dreams, only to discover a powerful magic that's been lying dormant and a forbidden love she can't resist. Dutiful and hardworking, Rhea Wolf lives a simple, mundane life with her pet parrot in small-town Alabama. Sure, she may not love her desk job working for an insurance agency, and her on-again, off-again relationship with the local mechanic may not have the fiery passion she's read about in her favorite books. Still, things are stable, which is more than she can say about the 2 hopelessly immature younger sisters who rely on her. I wonder what the rest of the books in the series are going to be about. When Rhea's estranged grandmother dies, leaving her everything, including a magical heritage Rhea never knew she carried, she finds herself in Arcadia Falls, the quaint mountain town her mother made her swear to avoid at all costs. While the defunct business she's also inherited needs a serious upgrade, Rhea's lucky that resident handyman Hunter Blakely is more than happy to help, and more than easy on the eyes. If only he wasn't the grandson of her grandmother's sworn enemy in witchcraft. As Rhea works to build a future, strange occurrences begin to make her think someone or something is trying to drive her out. As she gets closer to solving the mystery, each clue she uncovers points to Arcadia Falls' magic hanging in the balance. To keep her new home safe, Rhea must step into her enchanted birthright before it's too late.
Witchy romance is always going to get me.
Witchy romance in February for Valentine's Day?
It's like the way to be like, oh, I guess I can manage to read a romance for February.
Exactly. I think that witches are always in season.
I agree. Witches are always in season. They're all around us. And why not? I mean,
exactly.
Magical rivalry, hot handyman, the tropes, they're delicious.
When I'm saying that I will want something that I can just like come in and out of, it's easy to digest and read during Mardi Gras, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, this for sure fits the bill. My next pick got me from the cover alone. And if you know me, it won't really be a surprise. This is Dollface by Lindy Ryan. It is listed as a horror mystery. And then just a quick description is how you know that I was like, oh, from the cover alone, I'm sold. But then it's Barbie meets Scream with a 90s nostalgia twist in this horror romp from Bless Your Heart author Lindy Ryan. Horror author Jill has just moved to suburban New Jersey, hoping to fit in with the new PTA moms and maybe not weird everyone out with her final girl coffee mug. You know, make some real friends. But then a plastic face-masked serial killer begins slashing their way through town, one overly made-up mom at a time. The police are incredulous, the moms are indignant, and Jill is slowly wrapped into a killer's murderous spree until she might just be the last woman standing. A delightfully murderous novel that is equally parts scathing and salacious, Dollface will win you over with its gossip and gore, one body at a time.
I was going to put this on my list, and then I saw it was on your list, and I was like, Joe has rights to this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds fab.
It sounds so good. And I mean, like, the cover, it's so, like, dollar store Barbie. Like, I love everything about it, like, the font and the design just being the, like, we don't want any copyright troubles here. And that's no shade, because I love it. I think that adds to it. The cell.
Yeah, to, like, the camp.
Right, the camp. The cell is so perfect to me. I love Scream. I love Barbie. I'm sold. So again, that's Dollface, Lindy Ryan, February 24th.
So I'm going in release order for my books.
And you're smart for that.
all that's happening. And my next book, like, very well ties into the book that you just gave. shockingly. Kismet.
Perfect.
This is How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson, also out February 3rd. A humorous, swoony, and downright terrifying horror romance in which a young woman gets caught in the middle of a murder spree at a speed dating event and must use her encyclopedic knowledge of the horror genre to make it as a real-life final girl. I love, oh my God, what is the word that I'm looking for? Not fourth wall break. Meta. I love meta horror.
Yes. That's what's so good about Scream. Like it's meta horror. Yeah.
Meta horror and like Happy Death Day, I also feel like is meta horror.
Yeah.
Ready or Not. And so like things where it's like the character knows that this is like, wait a second, I love those. And so this sounds like that.
Is this play about us? Like, absolutely.
Exactly. Okay, let me give you the whole big description. When Jamie Prescott and her best friend Lori attend a speed dating event, Jamie expects to meet a roster of mediocre men and indulge in some street food afterwards. She doesn't expect one of her dates to have his throat slit at their table during a blackout. When the lights come back on and there are more bodies on the floor, it becomes clear that speed dating can be a very dangerous pastime. Armed with makeshift weapons and Jamie's extensive knowledge of what not to do in a horror movie, the remaining speed daters try to find an exit while the killer adds to their body count. As the night progresses and Jamie comes face to mask with the murderer, she begins to suspect he is committing the slangs to woo one of the daters and turn her into his real-life final girl. But Jamie has a different love story in mind, and as she fights for her life, she can't help but find herself ensconced in a love triangle with two of the other speed daters. Will she survive the bloodshed to find her happily ever after, or does this machete-wielding psychopath have another final girl in mind? For fans of Love in the Time of Serial Killers and Butcher and Blackbird, How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates is one killer love story.
Sign me up. That's the way I'm doing romance for February.
I was like, maybe this for Valentine's Day.
It's just how did Joe get to read horror or horror adjacent thriller slasher, whatever you want to call it, but still make it Valentine.
That's the thing about romance. You can find it anywhere.
Anywhere. You can
make it work for you.
The most tenuous connection you want. Like, oh, they fall in love in the end after they go through a horrific experience. Okay.
Yeah. Trauma bonded.
Done.
Love it.
Oh, that sounds so good. I saw it pop up everywhere, but I didn't take the time to read the description. I was like, oh, I'm sure I'd like that. But now that you've told me what it's all about, I'm like, that just
the title
jumped.
Almost like could be too camp. Like it could be tacky. Yes. It has over, I want to say 4.3 stars on Goodreads already.
Dang, already?
Yeah, with over 300 reviews, I want to say.
Wow. I mean, you know me, I'm all about the camp, but like the cover and the title, right? I was like, if this is if this is more relationship forward, if it's more romance focused, it will not be for me. But This sounds like, and that's what the cover was giving me of like, I don't know what our goal is here.
Yes.
But it sounds perfect.
A sleigh.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well, speaking of sleigh, my next book is one that I picked. Title alone, description unseen. Like, that was all I needed at first. And then I read the rest and I went, oh yeah, I'll be reading that. This is Murder Bimbo, out February 10th from Rebecca Novak. It's an exhilaratingly twisty story of a sex worker turned political assassin on the run. It's an unputdownable and wholly fresh take on truth, murder, and optics in our national moment. A 32-year-old sex worker is shocked when she's approached by undercover government agents to aid them in a top-secret plot to assassinate a politician known as Meatneck. But once the deed is done, she realizes what made her the perfect recruit. She's 100% disposable. Holed up in an off-the-grid cabin in the woods, she now only has 2 days, her wits, and a laptop to save her own life. Her best bet is to reach out to the wildly popular feminist investigative podcast, Justice for Bimbos. In a hastily typed series of emails, the newly minted Murder Bimbo explains how she was recruited and then trained by a cabal of codenamed U.S. agents to take out Meatneck. Then she opens a new email. This time, it's addressed to her ex, and the facts line up a little differently. Constructed in 3 increasingly unhinged acts, each a more subversive version of the story than the last, Murder Bimbo can be read as a gloriously bold literary thriller, a satirical vigilante's manifesto, or a raucous send-up of the political insanity we all live inside every day. Either way, it's a dead serious announcement of an eclectic new voice in American literature. Again, that is Murder Bimbo, Rebecca Novak, February 10th. I'm sold.
What is it about February that makes us be like, you know what? Murder, gore, horror, blood.
You know what? Murder, gore, a little bit of love. Why not? I
sounds
just
so good.
Right? It's such like a straightforward like spy line. If you think about it in terms of the like, oh, we're turning on one of our own agents, but it's just stripped down in such a way that's like, it calls out things that need to be called out.
Yeah.
But I love a podcast within a book. I love, like, it sounds like this book plays a lot with form between like the three versions of the acts. So I'm very excited to see that. I could see this. I feel like Kayla has talked about it. Not this book, but that Kayla has talked about the idea of like, this could be panned on Goodreads because it's weird. Like that's my expectation.
One of those like not for everyone kind of moments.
Just from this description, because it's clearly doing something unique that you're either going to love it or hate it. Maybe. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope that this just ends up being everyone loves it. So, yeah.
I also think that that's going to slap as an audiobook.
Absolutely. Because I think to like what we talked about at the time you're listening to this last week with Cece of just how like some books you need to read with your eyes and some books you get a different experience listening. I think if there are, even if it's the same person giving Murder Bimbo's perspective in 3 different tones, I think that will be so much more impactful as audio than I would likely deliver it to myself.
Yeah. All right. My next book comes out. You want to guess?
The 3rd?
February 3rd. We are really front-loading February here. Okay. Everyone pay your rent and then save everything else to go buy these books, right? My next book is Cruelty Free by Caroline Glenn. I actually just got an arc of the audiobook on NetGalley, so I'm about to start listening to it, and I'm so excited. For fans of Monica Kim and Rachel Yoder, a twisted debut horror novel in which a disgraced movie star returns to Hollywood 10 years after the kidnapping of her young daughter, intent on seeking revenge. Nothing feels better than revenge. 10 years ago, Lila Devlin was an A-list actress with a movie star husband and a beautiful baby girl, Josie. When Josie was kidnapped out of her home and never seen again, Lila's previously pristine public image twisted into that of an unfit mother, capital U, capital M. Driven mad by the hungry press, incompetent comps, and relentless true crime-obsessed fans, she disappeared into anonymity. Now Lila Devlin returns to LA with a grand vision for a radical new skincare brand to reinvent herself and honor Josie's legacy. She's prepared to move into the next chapter of her life with forgiveness in her heart when an encounter with a parasitic blogger ends with him dead. Lila suddenly discovers forgiveness isn't nearly as satisfying as a body hitting the floor. With the help of her devoted publicist, Sylvie, Lila begins a relentless, blood-soaked hunt through LA. Giving her skincare the edge it needs, they introduce a secret ingredient, revenge sourced from the bodies piling up. But as the company's success skyrockets and Lila begins unraveling the truth behind her daughter's kidnapping, her murderous side hustle threatens the life she's painstakingly rebuilt. Both a striking portrayal of grief and womanhood and a twisting, cynical satire on celebrity and toxic beauty standards, Cruelty Free is an ambitious debut from a talented star on the rise.
You know, one of my like sleeper agent activation words is debut author, especially debut horror.
Yeah.
I'm sold, but also what it's like, as you were describing it, it's making me think of Girl Dinner and it's making me think of Julie Chen. Like it almost sounds like elements of both of those fusing into this story to a completely new and unique vision and take. And I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited to have cannibalism in
2026.
I'm excited to see my cannibalism consumption shift into like skincare and like beauty standards.
Yes.
As you kind of said, in the Girl Dinner way, but this time I imagine we're not eating them. We're just like unknowingly using the human parts.
Exactly.
And I'm like, let's freshen things up. Let's change the pace a little bit.
I'm here for that. I love the like what really is in our products. Like there's so many tiny insidious horror elements like baked into that as a part of the satire.
Also interesting that so many of our recs so far have been about like true crime fan culture.
Yes.
Like, it seems that because I feel like that really hit a peak in like 2020 to 2022, like with COVID, like those like really exploded. And I think
We thought everyone was going to solve every crime.
we're seeing like the ramifications of that. If these authors were getting these ideas in that era and then writing, and like now they're coming out.
It is also really cool, right, to that point of like, it's the other side almost of like, okay, we've built these platforms, we've built these audiences on this crime space. Now what? Like, you know, we still don't know what happened to Jean-Benet. So like, now what?
Right. Right. So now we're kind of in this flip side of the narrative, and I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. My next pick is also from February 3rd. It might be like a different pick for me, especially compared to the rest of my list, but this is Superfan by Jenny Tingui Zhang. Like I said, February 3rd. It is a National Book Foundation 5 Under 35 honoree, that is Jenny. It's a novel about a pop idol and his superfan whose stories shockingly collide. This is where I get a little like romancy, but also I have so much love for the super fans, like the K-pop stans, me listening to K-pop the moment this ends. Like all of that, like I love that energy, and I love how different it is in every country and like how it combines once things explode. Anyway, freshman Minnie is adrift at college in Austin, Texas, when she discovers a boy band called Hourglass and an online forum that worships them. She especially loves Hollow, whose sharp edges feel somehow familiar. After a brief romance goes painfully awry, Minnie pours everything into her new fandom, clinging to each live stream and bonding with other fans on the internet. But when a scandal threatens to expose Hollow to harm, Minnie decides that she is the only one who can save him. Except Hollow's secret is darker than anything the tabloids could imagine. Before he was a superstar heartthrob, he was Eason, a high school dropout haunted by a tragic accident. When he was recruited for Hourglass, it feels like a chance to become someone else. And when he is on stage in front of his fans, he can almost forget the horrors of his past, until one of those fans threatens to destroy everything. Dazzling, entrancing, and deeply heartfelt, Superfan is about fandom in all its magic and its terror, and the extreme lengths to which we go to rid ourselves of loneliness.
Okay, I'm glad this says terror, because I think as a certified Tumblr fangirl, fandom can be horrifying, and I think I'm only right about it in that way. It is just chef's kiss.
Absolutely. Superfan, February 3rd. Once you hear the description, you go, yeah, now I know why you picked it, Joe.
Exactly. All right, my next book, February 3rd. Like I said, we're front loading. This is The Forest on the Edge of Time by Jasmine Kirkbride. I was really looking for some spec fic to include in this list, and I couldn't find a ton, but we've got a couple in here, and this is one of them. It's the future of another timeline meets the bone clocks in this dazzling piece of time travel climate fiction. Recruited by the mysterious Project Kairos to change history and save the future from ecological disaster, Echo and Hazel are transported through time to opposite worlds. Echo works as a healer's assistant in ancient Athens, embroiled in dangerous politics and wild philosophy. Hazel is the last human alive in a laboratory on a polluted island with nothing but tiny robots and an untrustworthy AI for company. Both women suffer from amnesia, but when they fall asleep, their consciousnesses transcend time and they meet in their dreams. Together, they start to uncover their past, but soon discover the past threatens humanity's survival. If Echo and Hazel have a chance of changing the future, they must remember to forget. The Forest on the Edge of Time is a novel about family and duty in the worlds we try to save along the way.
Dang.
I love some climate fiction. I love the thought of them going to two different ends of time.
Yeah, like the beginning and the end, basically.
Yeah, and I just read this short novel, or not the short, this like short story novella that's part of like a time travel series. It's called 3 Days, 9 Months, 27 Years by John Scalzi. And the premise of that book reminds me of this novella, and I really, really liked the novella. It's about a person who is the operator of a like time machine, and people can like time travel as like vacation. And So it does a lot of like talking about like going to the past, going to the future, like all this different stuff about time travel. And I am still making my way. It's a collection of short stories. The next one is Making Space by R.F. Kuang.
Oh, okay. Incredible.
But that whole book feels like it should fit into this novella collection. And I instantly was like, well, gotta add that to the list.
It sounds like it belongs in that. And wow. There's so much to like time travel that just makes you go, and climate fiction, like,
yeah. As a Whovian, I'm in.
Speaking
of fandom.
I was going to say we're mere steps away from someone saying super Hulock, and that someone is me.
I never got into Supernatural. I was a super short of a super Hulock. But I was a Merlin girl. So that, Merlin, okay. Doctor Who, Sherlock.
Okay, well, then you're just as guilty.
Just as guilty. Just as bad.
You're just as guilty.
What can I say?
We're reciting the old texts here. My next pick, we're moving away from February 3rd, is February 10th from Anna Kovacha. This is She Made Herself a Monster.
I almost put this on my list.
And I already had it.
And you already had it.
A heady, dark-hued gothic gem of a debut novel. In 19th century Bulgaria, a self-proclaimed vampire slayer, in truth, a traveling con artist, joins forces with a teenage girl to create a monster deadly enough to vanquish their own demons. We make monsters in order to destroy them. For thousands of years, we've named witches and burned them, suspected demons and exorcised them. When crops die and children fall ill, who better to blame than a monster? Yana rides from one desolate town to the next, staging grisly displays while the villagers sleep. Animal corpses in the public square, eggs filled with blood in the chicken coop. She tells the stricken villagers stories of vampires that stalk the night. Then she eliminates the threat and sows seed of hope in her wake. The village, Koprivici, is plagued by exceptional illness and misfortune, its children rarely surviving infancy. There, Yana meets Anka, a headstrong orphan who the villagers blame for their curse. As Anka approaches womanhood, the village captain is grooming her for marriage against her will. Anka is powerless against him. That is, until Yana arrives. Together, the orphan and the vampire slayer hatch a plan to conjure a monster so vile it might provide cover for Anka to escape. But their plan quickly takes a horrifying life of its own. Inspired by Slavic folklore, She Made Herself a Monster concocts a clever mix of witchery, ghost stories, heresy, and deception to spin a feminist fable about agency and the power of collective action. It is a haunting and astoundingly cathartic tale of two women who will stop at nothing to take control of their fate.
I almost had this on my list. You already had it on your list. And then yes. I saw a review where someone was like, it's not really big on the vampires. And I was like, okay, I need someone else to read this first and tell me if they like it. Because I fear this could go to the direction of The Starving Saints, which 700 people have sent me The Starving Saints because it very much promises cannibalism. And then it's like, widow cannibalism.
Yeah.
So I need someone to tell me like how like supernatural and like how like mythical, folkloric the book is before I'm going to invest in it.
I'm definitely wondering because, of course, the end of that description sounds like it promises the like, we've been playing pretend monster hunter this whole time and then oops, now we have to figure it out for real.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's more of like third act finale, the folklore monster becomes real.
Or is it we were the monsters the whole time?
All along. Exactly.
I do love a like, I, woman, am the monster.
Exactly. I think this is because the subjects popping up in Libby are like fiction, literature, romance, and there is no horror. I'm guessing this is we were the monsters all along, but those also fall into horror sometimes. So I think this is, I don't know. I think this is, I think there's a message here that maybe that reviewer didn't get.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by it, but I want it to come out and I want to see what other people have to say.
Oh, absolutely agreed. And you might just hear from me.
Because if it's good, there's a spot for it on my shelf.
1,000%.
I know where it'll fit. My next book is coming out February 3rd. This is my last of the February 3rd. This is The Hospital at the End of the World by Justin C. Key. From the author of the acclaimed The World Wasn't Ready for You comes a thrilling first novel set in a near future where artificial intelligence runs the world, involving a young medical student who must unravel family secrets to uncover the truth of his father's mysterious death. In a time not so far from our own, society is run by a global AI system controlled by an all-powerful corporation. Wow, sounds so hard to conceive. The Shepherd organization oversees every medical school in the country, save one in New Orleans. The renegade Hippocrates, which still insists on human-led medicine. It is the last choice school for an ambitious young New Yorker named Pock. But after his father, himself a physician, dies under mysterious circumstances that seems connected to the Shepherds and their megalomaniac young CEO, Pock finds himself on a quest for answers that leads right to Hippocrates. Once enrolled, he stumbles upon a further mystery. A strange illness is plaguing newcomers to New Orleans who grew up under Shepherd rule. What is causing this fatal anomaly? And how does it relate to the mystery of Pock's father's death and his own mysterious past?
Okay.
That's it. It's a very...
It's like one of those like dead-end descriptions, short.
Yeah. And it's from a traditional publisher. Like, it looks like it would be a self-published, but it's a traditional publisher. It's coming out in all the formats. And I'm very excited. One of my favorite books that takes place in New Orleans is Orleans by Sherry L. Smith. And this feels kind of like a grown-up version of Orleans. And so when I saw this, I was like, I'm in, I'm done. Check, I want it.
Love that. Hey, it makes sense.
Enter a giveaway to win a free copy of the book.
As you should, because why not? My next pick is February 24th. This is I Am the Ghost Here by Kim Samick. It is a debut short story collection. I don't do short stories a ton. I know I bring them up a lot because I feel like I find about one for most of the months of the year. So I read anywhere between like 8 and 12 a year, just depending. But I usually tend to read more like the anthology route, where it's a like horror anthology and it's different authors, at the top of their genre or this or that. But this is just a straight up short story collection from one author. And I'm very excited about that, especially adding the fact that it's a debut about 12 women who confront the mounting existential terrors of modern life in an absurd, wryly hilarious debut story collection, where a woman's limbs disappear into the cloud during wildfire-induced power outages. A lonely DoorDasher accidentally becomes the star of someone else's reality show, forced to resolve her fraught relationship with her immigrant mother for the narrative. Succumbing to a widely denied pandemic, a gymnast's coach must carry her heart around in a mason jar, using her disability to become an influencer. Two chronically single, chronically ill people become soulmates, only to discover their meeting was algorithmically orchestrated by ad tech. Other dramas unfold as icebergs melt and island-sized trash heaps burn. Threaded with sharp social commentary, these stories question the engineering of human connection through technology, social media, and reality television. Warm, endlessly strange, and filled with dark yet hopeful humor, I Am the Ghost Here casts familiar crises of contemporary life in a wholly unique light, offering a path toward our shared humanity, even as reality comes crumbling down.
I want it.
Once I saw how weird it was, I was like, oh yeah, yes. I don't think I could read any of these as like a novella or a whole novel, but I think a delightful collection of all of these as short stories. Yum, yum, yum. Gimme, gimme.
And I love, we talked about this in the last episode. I love when we have the wherewithal to be like, this isn't a full-fledged novel. This doesn't need so many pages. Let's tell this story tight, fast, like for sale baby
Agreed.
shoes never worn. Like,
thank you.
If we expanded that, we would have lost the magic.
Exactly. Like the power of a 2-sentence horror story. Yes. I think like we need to embrace that a little bit more, because there are incredible writers who fall apart once you give them a few more pages, a little more time. But if you put them in the right platform, some of the best work you're going to find. Like, I don't know. I love that, like you said, the wherewithal to know that we just need to, like, this is where the period goes. This is where the chapter, like the book ends, the story ends.
All right. My next book actually kind of pairs well with what you were just describing. So this is For Human Use by Sarah G. Pierce, and it comes out February 10th. It's a debut. It's a twisted tale of modern love that bends every genre, sears itself into your brain, and presents a horrific romantic comedy unlike anything you've ever read before. Modern dating is dead. Finding a human connection online has become impossible. Enter Live, a dating app that matches people with dead bodies. Somehow, it has taken the world by storm. Millions of users are convinced that life with a corpse presents a better alternative to conventional relationships. Flailing against Liv's popularity, venture capital superstar Tom Williamson, whose company is funding Live, isn't buying it. Mostly because dating an embalmed cadaver, let alone monetizing it, is obscene. Believing that Liv is the future, Auden White, the insufferable visionary behind that, begins demanding more and more funding, quickly making enemies with Tom. It's no secret that Tom struggles with people, dead or alive, but when he has a chance meeting with the woman who knows Auden and his secrets best, Meara Reed, he realizes everything is about to change for all three of them. With Liv's user base growing by the day, the need for cadavers rapidly increases. Humanity might not want to connect with other living, breathing people anymore, but they do want to connect with something. What could go wrong?
Again, give me the weird shit. Sign me up.
Give me the weird shit.
Like, what the hell? Like, that description is just, what the hell? Okay, I'll read it.
And all the reviews and, like, the comments are just, like, slapping. It,
damn.
like, everything people are saying,
Okay.
I want it. I want it now.
We're in for a good one. Okay. My next pick, not quite the same, but in the, like, thriller crimey vein. This is The Jills by Karen Parkman, out February 10th. It's a propulsive debut where a Buffalo Bills cheerleader will stop at nothing to solve the disappearance of her best friend and teammate, navigating the dark underbelly of a hardscrabble city, the grime and glamour of professional cheerleading, and her own tangled family history. Virginia is a Jill, a cheerleader for the NFL's Buffalo Bills. Living the life of her dreams, she spends her weekdays practicing, her weekends cheering, and her nights hopping between bars and clubs with her teammates, including the fearless, charismatic Jeannie, whose friendship has given Virginia confidence in spades and helped her forget her troubled past with her estranged sister, Laura. One Sunday, Jeannie fails to show up for a game, and calls and texts to her go unanswered. Virginia embarks on an investigation into Jeannie's disappearance, aided by a network of Jills, ex-boyfriends, seedy fixtures of Buffalo's criminal underground, and unexpected figures from her past, all of that. But as her search grows increasingly dangerous and spirals into obsession, disturbing questions about who Jeannie really was begin to emerge. Soon, Virginia finds herself wondering how well she knew her best friend, if she can trust the people she thought were protecting her, and whether, when trying to save the one she loves most, she's capable of saving herself too. Part bingeable mystery, part character-driven tale of woman discovering her own strength in a system built by and for men, The Jills is a page-turning novel that brims with wit and heart while reminding us of the healing power of sisterhood.
Love.
Right? So The Jills, Karen Parkman, February 10th.
Okay, my next book is a book that I had beef with because I requested it on NetGalley forever ago, and I know the author. I attended a book club for a long time in New Orleans. Shout out Blue Cypress Books. And one time I was there and I was next to Alice the entire book club, and we chatted about her books, and I was like, I can't wait to read some of your books. She announced that she has this one coming out. I was like, she writes a lot of historical romance. This book is a contemporary, and I've been like, I can't wait to read it. And I requested it on NetGalley and it didn't get approved. And I'm like,
so
what do you
rude.
mean?
What do you mean I know her?
What do you mean I know her? But I will buy it and support her, or I'll check it out on Libby. Chicago Public Library, get it on that ASAP. But also it's kind of a weird one, so I don't know if they will. This is A Little Buzzed by Alice Murray. It comes out February 17th. A sex toy engineer with one big secret finally meets her match, and together they'll put their own products to the test in this steamy romantic comedy. Scout Porter is screwed. Not literally, of course. Literally, she's a 26-year-old virgin thanks to a relationship so disastrous she swore off love and sex for good. Metaphorically, she's screwed because the entire office of BuzzCorp, the sex toy startup where she's head engineer, just found out. Scout needs her team to stay focused on their upcoming launch, not her lack of a sex life, so she finds the simplest solution. Lose her V-card, and fast, then get back to business as usual. Enter Hudson Bailey, the nerdy and charming software developer hired to build the app for Scout's latest creation. The only problem is, he's as inexperienced with sex toys as she is with sex. Fortunately, he's all too eager to learn, and they agree that one very educational, totally professional hookup will solve both of their problems. All for research, obviously. But their little experiment yields unexpected results. Chemistry so off the charts, Scout starts to think she might actually want more than just a one-time fling. When their budding relationship is threatened by the return of Scout's notorious ex, both Scout and Hudson will have to decide if they've reached their climax as a couple or if they're willing to risk everything for a chance at true love.
Incredible. Incredible. Buzz Corp for a sex toy company. Love that.
The title,
Love
A Little
her.
Buzzed.
Amazing.
So, A Little Buzzed, Alice Murray. Alice loves to push buttons, push boundaries, do as much of the most as she can in the romance field. And when I saw she was putting this out, I was like, correct.
And I think we've talked about in the past, we love a late bloomer story. I
love a late bloomer story. Late bloomer representation.
It's important. We need it.
Yeah. We need the sexually confident young heroine, but we also need the girl who was not that.
Exactly. We need to normalize all of the paths forward.
Every story has been lived and it needs to be seen.
Exactly. Because there are people who go, oh, thank God, it's not just me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't order my books by date like you did, which may or may not have been the smart thing to do. Who knows? I probably should have matched yours. But my next pick, I'm going back to February 3rd because it was the hot pub day of the month. This is Good People by Patmina Sabit. It is from Khaled Hosseini, a stunning read. I could not recommend it more enthusiastically. What a spectacular triumph this book is. This is the Afghan novel I have been eagerly waiting for. So again, that's from Khaled Hosseini. Zora Saraf could do no wrong. Zora brought shame upon her family. What's the truth? Depends on who you ask. So two sides of the same coin right there. The Sharaf family is a picture of success, prosperous, rich, happy. They came to this country as refugees with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. And now, after years of hard work, they live in the most exclusive neighborhood, their growing family attending the most prestigious schools. Zora, the eldest daughter, is the apple of her father's eyes. When the unthinkable tragedy strikes, everyone is left reeling and the family is thrust into the court of public opinion. There is talk that behind closed doors, the Saraf's happy household was anything but. Did the Saraf family achieve the American dream, or was the image of the model immigrant family just a facade? Like a literary game of ping pong, Good People compels the reader to consider what might have happened even on the previous page. Told through a kaleidoscope of perspectives, it is a riveting, provocative, and haunting story of family, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, and the communities that claim us as family in difficult times. So again, that is Good People by Patmina Sabit, out February 3rd. Who doesn't love a little family drama? I think this introspection on what we place on others that we don't always even place on ourselves, words like the model immigrant family, unpacking that and the judgments we place on people. And, I don't know. I think this is going to be really thoughtful. Again, I'm also very intrigued by the told through a kaleidoscope of perspectives.
Yeah.
And also the compels the reader to reconsider what might have happened even on the previous page. So I'm loving the sound of some unreliability and maybe some baked in confusion.
I really hope that the audiobook is a full cast recording because I feel like there was a lot of potential there.
Yes, please sign me up for that one.
All right, my next book is from one of my must buy authors. So this is a book that I had to remove from my list previously. Rachel Griffin, who I have talked about a lot on here. She did The Nature of Witches. God, I can't remember the name. Bring Me Your Midnight. I love her books. This is a full fantasy. All of her other books are low fantasy or magical realism. But this is The Sun and the Star Maker by Rachel Griffin, and it's coming out February 17th. So there once was a village so far north that most considered it the top of the world. And in that village, the sun fell in love with her star maker. From the New York Times bestselling author of The Nature of Witches comes a whimsical and sweeping romantic fantasy. Nestled deep in the snowy mountains of the Lost Range, the small village of Reverie endures on a miracle. Beyond the reach of the sun, Reverie is dependent upon the magic of the mysterious star maker. Every morning, he trudges across a vast glacier and pulls in sunlight over the peaks, providing the village with the light it needs to survive. Aurora Finch grew up on tales of the Star Maker's magic, never imagining she'd one day meet him. But on the morning of her wedding, a fateful encounter in the frostbitten woods changes everything. The Star Maker senses a powerful magic within her and demands she come study under his guidance. With her newfound abilities tied to the survival of the village, Aurora is swept away to his ice-covered castle at the mountain's peak. The Star Maker is as cold and distant as the dark woods, leaving Aurora to explore this enchanted castle with only an immortal rabbit for company. Yet the more she discovers about the sorcerer, the stronger their ruinous attraction grows, pulling her closer to the secrets he refuses to share. A deadly frost approaches, and Aurora must uncover what the Star Maker is hiding before she is left in an endless winter that even the sun cannot touch.
Okay.
That's actually the first time that I read the description because Rachel Griffin is literally a must-buy author for me. And I'm just like, yeah, it's coming out. I'm going to read it.
You were already sold, so it didn't matter. Sold. But it sounds very, like, as you're describing, I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to love that.
Yeah, I'm actually so freaking excited.
You're now even more excited than you were before.
Yes. Also, Rachel Griffin books, first editions, are always stunning.
Ooh.
So I would like to encourage everyone to consider that as well.
So good thing to have on your shelf if you are a person who likes to own your materials.
If you're a physical collector, yeah, consider her.
Which, I mean, they can see your background. Mine are hidden away, but I'm with you. Mine, But
you know what one of my toxic traits is? The reason my background looks like this is that I keep reading books that I borrow, but I'm still buying books. But then I'm like, oh, but I want to read this book right now, and it's on Libby available, so I'm going to read it right now. And then the physical TBR just keeps growing because I keep hitting the in-the-moment TBR with Libby.
Absolutely. But I also very often buy books after I have read them from the library because I was like, oh, I need to own that forever. Like,
I need it.
I'm pretty sure.
It needs to be part of me.
Right. I'm positive, actually, that all of the TJ Klune books on my shelf are uncracked because I borrowed phrasing because I borrowed them all from the library.
Yeah. They're display pieces.
It was truly just my love needs to be shelved.
Yep. I get it.
Well, my last pick is no surprise if you have been aware of me on this podcast since I joined in 2022. It's a posthumous Toni Morrison collection. Shocker from me, I know, but this is Language as Liberation. It will be out February 3rd. I'm excited to not have to wait too long for it. But Nobel laureate and Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Beloved, Toni Morrison, investigates Black characters in the American literary canon and the way they shaped the nation's collective unconsciousness. This, to me, is so exciting. I love to understand why we teach what we teach or why we taught what we taught and the way it's impacted so many things over time, how it shapes what other authors are writing, what it shapes how we criticize and create. Like, I need this. And I love Toni Morrison so much that I would love to hear what she had to say. So it's a dazzling series of lectures from her tenure as a professor at Princeton, where Morrison is interrogating America's most famous works and authors, drawing a direct line from the Black bodies that built the nation to the Black characters that many of the country's canonical white writers imagined in their work. Morrison sees these fictions as a form of creation and projection, arguing that they helped manufacture American racial identity. These Africanist presences are the shadow that makes light possible, as Morrison writes, and the reflections of their authors' own deepest fears, insecurities, and longings. With profound erudition and wit, Morrison breaks wide open the American conception of race with energetic, enlivening readings of the nation's canon, revealing that our liberation from these diminishing notions comes through language. How, Morrison wonders, could one speak of profit, of economy, of labor, of progress, of suffragism, or Christianity, of the frontier, on the formation of new states, the acquisition of new lands, of practically anything a new nation concerns itself with, without having a referent at the heart, the discourse or defining its edges, the presence of Africans and or their descendants? To read these lectures collected here for the first time is to encounter Morrison, not just the writer, but also the teacher, in the most penetrating and subversive way yet. With a foreword by her son, Ford Morrison, and an introduction by her Princeton comparative literature colleague, Claudia Brodsky, Languages Liberation is a revelatory collection that promises to redefine the American canon.
Wow.
Right?
Anyone who's doing monthly curriculums, I feel like that would be a great pick for that.
I mean, again, that's Languages Liberation, Toni Morrison, February 3rd. I love Toni Morrison. I can't say it enough.
We've talked about her a lot on this podcast.
And
every time it's correct.
Every time it is correct, but also, like, I know I always jokingly say, oh, reset the counter, I mentioned Twilight. Like, I think the real and probably impossible to ever go an episode without resetting is the Toni Morrison counter from me. Like, I can't even imagine what that looks like. But there's just something about this that, like, I don't know. I wish I could have taken that course. I wish I could have heard her speak, like, seen what she had to teach. But my love for Toni Morrison aside, I am also so fascinated by the canon, especially the American canon, and what we believe is crucial to teach. Because I've been very outspoken throughout the years of my time on the podcast that the canon is bullshit. That, like, most often what we deem canonical, what we have to teach in schools, what we have to read, comes from a place that isn't growing and evolving. And I feel like this is such an important conversation on how things have grown and evolved and how we should be updating with this in mind and finding comps from today that were inspired by The Great Gatsby or The Catcher in the Rye, but maybe have a more balanced alternative. I don't know.
Yeah. My crazy thing is that I have not read the majority of what we consider like the canon or the classics and the must reads because I was on different curriculum tracks. I was in classes where the teachers didn't have to follow the state curriculum. So they're like, I'm going to teach you what I want to teach you. And so, like, there's so many of the, so like you're describing this, I'm like, I don't think I'll have read most of the books that she's critiquing to even like have the background to understand what she's saying.
No, I get it because I look at like my history of like AP classes and honors classes, and I feel like I missed a lot of the canonical stuff because it was, you had to be like 2 years ahead of where you're at. Like my first year in college, when I would take like a lit class, I would have read the whole syllabus already because we were reading that like my senior year of high school. And I was like, okay, well, here's an easy one. I don't even have to buy the books because I've got it covered. But yeah, so I don't know. And again, like I said, I have such an odd relationship with the canon because it's like, I don't know. I think people put stock in something
white
that has no ground.
Literature.
Well, white Eurocentric bullshit, and of course. And purely because of the fact that some old white man said we should talk about these old white men.
And especially these old white men who stole the stories of their white wives.
Exactly. Of their white wives, of their enslaved, unpaid workers. Like, all of it comes from theft. And when we suggest that a book that is representative, that has all of the same length in history, like it's been as published for as long and has all this merit, it goes up for a challenge because it's there's something in there that we have to deem wrong. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox, but these are important conversations, and this is going to be the only nonfiction book I read this year, unless there's a celebrity memoir I want.
Listen, I've already read my first nonfiction of the year. It was How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. And honestly, I feel like that's also on the wavelength of what we're talking right now, and that he reads the audiobook. So,
love that. Okay, well, maybe I'll get through 2 this year.
Okay, my quote-unquote last book. I have one more that I'm just going to like throw out there, but this is the last one I'm going to do the full reading of. This is Weaving Shaw by Heba Al-Wasadi. Comes out February 24th. So in this debut Gothic fantasy, the first book of an enthralling fantasy romance trilogy, a young woman who can see the dead, checkbox, strikes a deal with a magnetic and dangerous purveyor of dark secrets to save her brother's life. 3 years ago, Lena Al-Sayer awoke with a terrible power. She can see the dead. Since then, she has hidden herself from the world, knowing that if she ever reveals her curse, she'll be locked away in an asylum. When her beloved brother, Rami, falls fatally ill, Lena is faced with a terrible choice. Let him die or buy the expensive medicine that will save his life by bartering the only valuable thing she has, her secret. The Saint of Silence, a ruthless merchant who trades in confessions and is shrouded in unearthly rumors of cruelty and power, accepts her bargain for a deadly price. Lena must find the ghost of Percival Avon, the last lord of Weavingshaw, or lose her freedom to the Saint forever. As Lena's search takes her and the Saint to Weavingshaw, she finds the estate and the surrounding moors to be living things, hungry for blood and sacrifice. Fighting against Weavingshaw's might, Lena must also fight her growing pull toward the enigmatic Saint himself, whose connection to Percival Avon remains a mystery. As the house begins to entomb them, time is running out on their desperate hunt for answers. For Lena has come to see that here in Weavingshaw, the dead are not hushed, and some secrets are better left buried with them.
I'm a sucker for a story that has to do with like the Crossroads deal. I love a mysterious shop that pops up that gives you exactly what you need for a price. All of that kind of thing I'm very drawn to, so I get it.
The top review, this person put, this book checked all the boxes for me. Atmospheric writing, rich and immersive world building and lore, paranormal mystery with ghosts and demons, intricate political landscape, a true slow burn romance, strong-willed and honest female main character, and a tortured and secretive male main character.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, slay.
It's giving.
Okay, and then the last book that I have to just mention.
Yes, please.
I like looked into it, and it's a book where I'm like, I don't know if I see myself sitting down with it. Like I see myself buying it, putting it on my shelf, and then every time I consider it, going past it and being like, that's too much. But I think it's going to be like one of the big books.
So we're calling it here. This one's going to like blow up.
I think so.
It has the vibe.
Fantasy, historical fiction. The other tags are horror and LGBT. So like I think that it hits a lot of what people want to see. And the cover's really cool. It's The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan, coming out February 24th. So it's a devastating love story, a bewitching twist on history, a blood-drenched hunt for purpose, power, and redemption. And I believe it is a fairy tale retelling. Alex E. Harrow, who wrote like Starling House and a bunch of books that everyone has read, said an absolute feast of a book, rich, red, sinfully delicious. I've rarely been this satisfied or this hungry for more. Tink Kingfisher also has a quote on it, charming, haunting, ambitious, and a great deal of fun. And Cassandra Caw also has a quote on it, a gorgeous tangle of history and fresh-made myth. You'll eat this one up.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is definitely going to be one of those that blows up.
Yeah. So I want
you
everyone to see that I saw and I said this probably isn't for me, but I think it's going to do numbers.
Oh, ain't that the struggle? You're like, I want to count it because I saw it and I know, but it's probably not for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
do that too.
But it's coming from Tor, and Tor publishes
bangers every time. I feel like Tor is like 98% bangers. Oh. Well, Meara, thank you.
Someone said, hello, queer historical fantasy by Tor. Us. Us
literally us.
All right, that's the end of my February picks.
Well, thank you for those picks. Very excited to hear them. Y'all, thanks for joining us today and for listening. Remember, question, comments, concerns, suggestions for future episodes, you can email me, bookloungebylibby@overdrive.com. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow on YouTube, leave a comment down below, do all those things you're supposed to do. I really appreciate it. Grow the show by sharing your love with your friends online. Thanks so much for joining us today. And as always, happy reading. You can sample and borrow the books from today's episode in the Libby app, or if you're a librarian, find them for purchase in Overdrive Marketplace. Book Lounge by Libby is a proud Evergreen Podcast signature program. Explore more amazing shows at evergreenpodcasts.com. This podcast is produced and recorded by me, Joe Skelly, with editing by Andrew Alonso. Our theme music is High Five by Rex Banner, used with permission. Book Lounge by Libby is presented by the Libby app. Learn more at libbylife.com/booklounge.